A ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, a ton of news about stimulus payments, a ton of news is here for you on stimulus checks. Joe Biden can do something about this. First of all, let's get into the most important news. It's that Social Security benefits, no matter what, play a major role for your retirement and for the older Americans especially. Now, there could be big changes on the horizon. Social Security is facing a shortfall. A shortfall that could be catastrophic, that is. The program is paying out more in benefits than it's receiving from taxes. If lawmakers don't find a solution soon, things could get nasty. There are several proposals on the table. Social Security benefits are funded primarily through payroll taxes. Workers pay into the program now, and the most of the money is paid out to retirees. So let's not forget about that right now, though. These taxes are not even enough to pay out benefits in full. Just to cover Social Security, it has been dipping into its trust funds.
We'll have to start thinking about, at least, the looming debt limit deadline. Democrats' message? Political brinksmanship could drive up costs for ordinary households. A recent analysis by the center-left think tank Third Way estimated that an actual default could result in the loss of 3 million jobs, a $20,000 drop in the average retirement savings, and a $130,000 increase in the cost of a mortgage. And Republicans argue this is all fear-mongering. House Budget Committee Chairman Jody Arrington tweeted, Democrats and Republicans must seize this opportunity to rein in unsustainable spending and reorient the nation's fiscal trajectory before it is too late. Now, top Senate Republican Mitch McConnell was confident yesterday that the country would not face a financial crisis.
In the end, I think the important thing to remember is that America must never default on its debt. It never has and never will. But we'll end up in some kind of negotiation with the administration over what.
So both Democratic and Republican lawmakers, everybody, are negotiating on Americans receiving universal basic income payments. This is some good news. It has been announced up to $18,000 may be claimed by several people that are experiencing financial difficulties. So if you qualify for this extra stimulus check, be sure to watch this entire video because you definitely don't want to miss out on it. So the past 3 round stimulus checks have been given to people, and more and more Americans are feeling the need for universal basic income. But many lawmakers in certain states and cities are getting used to this idea. Universal basic income is a set of recurring payments that individuals get from the government. These can be paid out every month, several times a year, or just once annually. Now, this is an idea that entrepreneur Andrew Yang, who recently left the Democratic Party, centered his 2020 presidential campaign around. Now, the good news is that states across the country are beginning to implement their own relief plans that include sending out state relief payments. For a while now, Alaska has been giving its citizens checks under the Alaska Permanent Fund. The fund, which has been around since 1982, was designed to provide state residents, citizens, with a portion of state oil revenues. The Sovereign Wealth Fund pays out annual dividends to eligible citizens. To qualify, you must be an Alaska resident for at least a year, and you're not eligible for this if you've been convicted. Last year's payment went out to 643,000 citizens in Alaska. That totaled around $1,200 per person. The highest payout occurred in 2008 when the payment was around $2,000. Now more money is headed into the pockets of thousands of people who live in Chicago. The Chicago City Council yesterday approved a multi-million-dollar budget, which includes hundreds of dollars for thousands of households in the Windy City. This makes it the largest basic income pilot program in the United States. To qualify, individuals must earn less than $35,000 per year. Participants will be chosen by random. That means you can't apply yourself. Now, the money for this plan is provided under Biden's American Rescue Plan. The passage comes a day after LA announced its program to help thousands of families in the city. The Chicago program is meant to relieve the financial burden on families affected by the crisis. Hundreds of thousands of people in Chicago. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Here's your fourth stimulus check update and daily news report. In this video, I'll be bringing you up to date on the latest stimulus news and information, including what may happen if Biden's massive infrastructure bill is not passed soon. Everybody, I just hope our politicians in Congress pass a fourth stimulus bill. Our politicians have got to help out the good American people in this country. And if you folks agree with my message, then let's get this video to 1,000 likes.
Well, we had a good hour-and-a-half meeting with the president, the vice president, and 2 Democratic leaders. Almost all of the discussion was about infrastructure, and I think I'm safe in saying there is certainly a bipartisan desire to get an outcome. Clearly, Senate Republicans are not interested in revisiting the 2017 tax bill. I think the president and the vice president understand that.
Everybody, Democratic lawmakers are trying really hard to approve trillions of dollars in a new spending bill to tackle everything from education to housing and even clean energy. The federal government has struggled to quickly translate cash from Congress into actual shovels in the ground. Everybody, President Joe Biden still has to figure out how to spend the money on time, on budget, and with the intended impact. And depending on how all that goes, President Biden could finally restore faith in big government programs. A former Democratic congressman told NBC News, "The American people are asking one question and one question only. Will this infrastructure package work?" And advocates and outside experts say that the Biden administration is well positioned to route money through existing programs, boost state and local governments that have an existing backlog of infrastructure projects, and accelerate clean energy trends. But there are still a lot of details to fill in and many potential hurdles to overcome, even if the money is approved. Everybody, plans to boost access to care for seniors and disabled Americans could conflict with plans to raise pay for caregivers. Billions of dollars to update the electric grid could run into objections from communities who don't want new power lines crossing their territory. One thing can also affect investments in affordable housing, which the White House hopes to address this year. So President Joe Biden has also said that he wants to see a corporate tax rate between 25 and 28%, and that is now a new marker in the
Yeah, any good news welcome at this point, right? Well, the news is that folks on Social Security will not have to file a tax return in order to get their federal stimulus check. Those are expected to be mailed out here within the next week or so. And the Treasury Department officials there announcing that Americans on Social Security or disability will no longer have to file taxes.
So more financial relief is on the way for millions of low-income households. The lawmakers have actually agreed to send out stimulus aid to those being impacted by the crisis. So Americans may actually qualify for monthly checks of up to $100. And with inflation at record highs, Americans are feeling the pain of higher prices. It's especially true when it comes to filling their gas tanks. And as of June 22, the average price of a gallon of gas was more than $5. In an effort to provide some sort of financial relief, the federal government has actually come up with several short-term options for assisting the public, while also addressing the larger short-term and issue of inflation at hand. Some of these ideas include tapping into emergency oil reserves as well as federal gas tax holidays to encourage more production out of the oil companies. One of the leading proposals at the moment is the Gas Rebate Act of 2022. It has been dubbed the gas stimulus. Similar to the stimulus checks that were sent out during the crisis, the gas stimulus check would be a series of checks sent to qualifying Americans. Now folks, listen to this. Each payment would be of actually $100, with an additional $100 for households and dependents. And for each month where the price of gas was higher than $4 a gallon, the eligibility requirements are less than $75,000 for single filers and less than $150,000 for joint filers. Many individual states have taken matters into their own hands and approved similar measures for their residents. For instance, in California, gas costs are considerably more than in other states. These are the plans to give relief checks of up to $1,000 for a qualifying family. In another group in North Carolina, the state senators are proposing giving every local licensed adult a one-time $200 stimulus payment. So the Bureau of Economic Analysis also reported today that